Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Now today we're going to talk about a product from one of my channel partners, and that is Go Setups Go Fast. Now as I've just mentioned, Go Setups Go Fast is a channel partner, but this isn't a sponsored video, but I have marked this up as paid promotion for obvious reasons. And to be completely open and transparent, I am an affiliate partner of Go Setups, so every purchase I'll get a small commission. And if you use the code DAVECAM10, you'll get 10% off as a result. Now, you may have heard of Go Setups before, and you might think, well, it's just a normal setup shop. But honestly, it is so much more. And what I'm going to try and show you in this video is give you a very brief overview of what you get for your money if you do subscribe. But there are plenty of features on here that you get for free. So as I've just mentioned, this is a paid service to unlock all the features. And if you're in the UK, billed annually, this is going to cost you $7.99 a month plus VAT. Or if you pay monthly, it's $9.99 a month plus VAT. And it's probably going to be quite similar in euros or dollars. But as you'll see, you do get quite a lot for your money. Right, let's jump onto that rig and I'll show you the software. So this is the Go Fast app. Now this is the current version that's available to everybody, but in a moment I'll switch over to the new version which will be coming out soon that's got more features. So firstly, Go Setups, it's a setup shop, but Go Fast is the app. So setups wise, let's have a quick look first of all. So it's one subscription and you get setups for all of these simulators. So we've got ACC, Assetto Corsa, Le Mans Ultimate, Automobilista 2, iRacing and F1. And it also auto installs them. So you just select your install path and it will install the setups for you. So you don't have to mess around copying files from one place to another. So for example, if I wanted a setup for the Porsche GT3, and I wanted to race at Road America, click it and it tells you when it's from. So season 2, 2026. Click that. All you do is install setups. Boom, installed. So I'll show you what that looks like in the simulator. So we'll go to Garage, My Setups, and there's the folder, Road America Full, installed today, 11th of June. Double click that. You go into whichever season you wanted. So Season 2, 26. And these are all the setups that you get. Endurance setups, qualifying setups, wet setups, esports setups, and safe setups. Select whichever one you want and away you go. So it's the same story on Le Mans Ultimate. We are here at Barcelona in the Ford Mustang. So we'll go to car setup, custom setup. We don't have any there. Go back to the app, select Le Mans Ultimate. We'll type in Ford Mustang, and there should be one here for Barcelona. There it is. Click that one and click Install Setups. Done. Back to the same. Refresh, and there we go. But if you're not happy with the setup, you can actually optimize it. Make some changes based on what you're feeling. So we click on Race Engineer, click on Setup Optimizer. So the car will select the Ford Mustang GT4. There we go. And then we will select, scroll down a little bit to find Monza GP. Optimize new setup. Find the setup that you want to optimize. And say, for example, you use the esports setup. Click continue. So it will ask you what the problem is. So if you were getting quite a bit of oversteer, click that one. Is it on entry? Is it the apex? Is it exit? If it's on entry, click entry. And is it faster speed, slower speed? We're going to kind of pretend that we've got a little bit of lift off oversteer. So click fast. How severe? Say number 4. And it will tell you what you need to do. Make adjustments to the spring perch offset. Change the brake pressure bias. soften the rear anti-roll bar, and increase the stiffness of the front springs. Then you would just make those changes in the simulator. And this isn't done by artificial intelligence. The Go Setups team have gone through every eventuality, what problem you might face, and created a solution to your problem. So now we're going to start looking at what we can do better as a driver. Where can we improve? How can we improve? How to compare ourselves against other people. Yes, you can go in the replays on whatever simulator you're on and see what the other drivers are doing, but it doesn't always give you an accurate picture. So we're going to go across at the top to Race Engineer, and here you can see it's compatible with iRacing, Le Mans Ultimate, ACC and F1. Now we're going to look at some past sessions. This is why I'm on this version of the build. So we're going to look at this one here, the BMW M2 at Rudskogen. Now you might have seen this video on my YouTube channel. We did a 130.763. We'll click that lap and we're going to compare it against somebody else. So we've got a pro lap there from esports driver Moritz Lohner, or we can compare against anybody on the leaderboard. So anybody that's running Go Setups or the Go Fast app, their times will automatically be uploaded. But we'll go against Moritz. So we'll click that one. And you'll see at the top of the screen there on the top right, we've got our lap there, a 130.763, and Moritz there, a 129.851. So we've got sector comparisons down the bottom left here. And if we wanted to, we can just play the whole lap. And we'll just zoom out so you can see. And it just goes round the track and tells you exactly where you are, what line you're taking, all that kind of stuff. Just pause that. But if we hover over these numbers, it tells you exactly what you gained or lost on your comparison lap. So sector 1, we lost over 2.5 tenths. Sector 2, 2 tenths. Sector 3, 1.5 tenths. Sector 4, 1 and a bit tenths. And sector 5, 1.5 tenths. But we'll have a look at where we lost the most, turn number 1. So we click that, and that will give us more information. So all of the coloured lines on here, they are all me. And the white dotted line, that's Moritz. So we'll have a look and we'll just play it as we approach the braking zone for turn number 1. On the track map itself, you can see that's where I braked. That's where Moritz braked. So straight away, you can see that we braked 5 meters earlier than Moritz. And you can see that on the telemetry here, on the brake trace. But what's more worrying for me is if you look at Moritz's brake trace, how smooth it is. And Moritz, I've watched his streams and he is really, really smooth with his inputs. If you look at my braking, I don't get up to peak pressure very quickly. And then I peak and then I'm down and then I'm not very smooth at all. If you look at Moritz, it brakes later than me, gets up to peak pressure quicker than me. Just play this on a little bit. You can see there, I'm at 58%. Moritz is at 70. But we reach that number, I think, or just above it. Yeah, 72. Moritz trails off really smoothly. We're on the brakes here again for whatever reason. So that's the reason for the time loss there. And you look at the throttle application as well. We're on the gas a bit more aggressively than Moritz. Moritz is nice and smooth up to 100% throttle. And then if you look down here at the gear selection, we're pretty similar, but Moritz short shifts by the look of it as he goes down the hill up to 4th a bit earlier than me. I'm holding on to 3rd gear for whatever reason. So that's how you can read that telemetry. And to go back, you just click on the flag and then you can select another sector. So if I wanted to go for sector 5, same story again. Moritz is braking later than I am and then really smooth on the brakes, braking harder than I am and then trailing off all the way to the apex. And then he's nice and smooth on the throttle. And again, if you look at the bottom here, you can see Moritz shift gear up to 4th much sooner than I do. So from looking at the telemetry, that takes us on nicely to a brand new feature. So we're on the new version of the Go Fast app. Things might change slightly between now and its release, but I'm going to show you what's new. So at the top, if we go across to Race Engineer, click that. So now on the left-hand side, in addition to these other ones, we have got overlays. Click that, and then you'll be presented with this screen. Now, there are two overlay presets out of the box, Essential and Learner Track, but you can configure your own. And as you can see there, you can use the overlays in VR. So we'll click Configure. And on this screen, you can see there are two tabs. We've got Driving and we've got General. Now, it's worth noting at this point that anything in the General tab, all of these overlays, you can use for free without a subscription. And if you've used any overlays before, you will be familiar with these. So you can configure these how you want them. If you look on the right-hand side there, you can see a graphical representation of how the overlay is going to look. You can make some changes. So you can see the names changing there. The way the iRacing is displayed changes. Multiclass on or off. Then the main body of the standings, you can add or remove. Whatever you want. Just make it how you want it. And at the top here, you can choose whether this overlay is going to be in practice, qualifying, or race, or all. Then we've got the relatives, similar story. Configure this how you want it. Fuel calculator, tyres, damage, radar, track map, mini map, weather conditions, and weather forecast. Now, these are all in the general tab, so these are all free. And depending on what simulator you run, you will get different options. So, for example, if we go to the standings, you can see there we've got energy, which you don't have on iRacing. Flick back to iRacing. We'll go over to the driving tab. Now, these are all the ones that you get in the subscription. These are all for development. These are all for training. We'll have a look in here. So we've got input telemetry. Now, this for me is similar to a telemetry overlay you would find on other providers. So it's very nice, and it would just sit at the bottom of the screen for me. But then we've got input comparison. Now here you can have a look at your brake and throttle traces based on somebody else's lap. So you can see your own, but you can obviously see somebody else's at the same time, which is really, really useful for training. I'll explain that in a short while. We've got speed gear comparison. We've got line comparison. I'll talk about that in a little while. We've got brake indicator, corner analysis, comparison target, delta sectors, and a delta bar. I'll show all those very soon. And on the left-hand side, we do have some more options. We've got a setup cover. We've got browser external devices, so you can use these as a browser source in OBS. And then some of the general settings, what display you want the overlays on, the refresh rate, audio. This beep will become apparent very soon, and some keybinds. So what we're going to do now, we're going to create our own overlay, and I'll show you how you can manipulate the overlay elements in the sim to make it look how you want it. So we'll create a new preset, and I'll call this my iRacing race. Create preset. So remember, the top here, the driving section of the overlays is paid. The general is free. So we'll focus on the general. So we want the standings on. How do we want it? Do we want it compact, normal? So we'll have it probably normal. Name, full name, I think. Multiclass, we want that on. Yes. Do we want the weather and race information at the top? Maybe don't need the weather. The race information, definitely with the timer and the lap counter. So on the rows, what do we want? Car number, that's always handy. Country flag, yes. License, iRating, yes. ELO change, I'm not a fan of that, so I'll turn that off. Gap, interval, we'll have the gap, we won't have the interval. Best lap, last lap, we'll turn the best lap off, we'll have the last lap on. Pit information, that's displayed at the side, so we'll leave that on. Tyre compound, I'll turn that off, we don't really need that. Position change, yes. Average lap, no. Flags, Yeah, we'll have those on in case anybody gets to slow down. That's always handy to know. Relative. So we want 3 drivers ahead and behind. Again, we'll have a full name, car number, country flag. Yeah, we'll have those on. License, iRacing. ELO change, again, we'll turn that off. Table header, we'll have that on. It's handy to see your instant points, etc. The footer, yeah, we'll have that on. Position change. We don't have the lap times on the relative. Flags, again, we'll have those on. And pit information, we don't need that on. Fuel calculator, we can have that horizontal, vertical. That looks good. Tyres, don't need that on for iRacing, I don't think. Damage, no. Radar, we'll turn that off because iRacing doesn't really do it very well. Track map, no, we won't use the track map. Mini map, no, we won't use that. Weather conditions, again, you can have that vertical or horizontal. Yeah, we'll have that on. And weather forecast, we'll turn that on. So now we'll click Preview Overlays. I'll move this window out of the way so we can see better. Now, you can move all of these overlay elements wherever you want on the screen. It's entirely up to you. So we'll put the standings up there. And then if you want, you can make some changes. Make it bigger, smaller, however you want it. Same with the fuel calculator. We'll make that a bit smaller. We don't need it that big. Relative. It needs to be a little bit bigger, I think. Maybe not that big, actually. Move that down there where I would normally have it. Weather forecast and the weather conditions. We'll just sit those there. We'll click Close Preview. Then we'll launch. Move this back over. Then we'll click Launch the Overlays. Now, this is the live overlays. So as you can see there, the standings maybe is a little bit small. So we'll just click Preview Overlays. And we can just make that a little bit bigger. Or if we wanted to, we can just click Control Shift and E. And then we can edit them and make them bigger or smaller. And Control Shift E again locks them into position. But if you do pay for the subscription, then you can add some more overlays with the driving tab. And on here, I would probably have the input telemetry, unless I was training. And we'll have to edit that one, actually. So we can just move that one down in the bottom corner. Again, we can widen that if we wish, or we can make it bigger, smaller. Looks about right there. And then we'll lock that into position. And that there is our overlays that I would use for a race. Now, you can tweak them. I probably will do some more tweaking, but you get the general idea. Now, I'll jump onto Le Mans Ultimate and I'll show you how you can use the driving tab of the overlays for training. So, on the left-hand side of the screen there, you can see comparison target, the pro lap. I don't want that. I'm not a pro. Let's be realistic. So we'll click leaderboard, auto advance. So that's comparing us against Jim Sum, who's currently P33. We are currently P35. Now, at the bottom of the screen, you'll see the large telemetry. That's obviously live telemetry. But as the bar moves across to the right-hand side, you'll see the telemetry of the driver that we're comparing ourselves against come into view. There, you can just see it now. And as we approach each turn, we'll get a countdown based on when they braked. And just see it there, brake. After turn 1, we will get an audible cue when to brake. And at the top, you can see that green bar there. That is a line indicator. So as we move, you can see we need to follow that box. So it's over to the right, so we need to go over to the right, and that will put us back on track. You can see it moving. That's a visual representation of where we need to be on the track. So we should get the beep now. And at the top there, the corner analysis, when we're on a flying lap, every time we've gone round a turn, it will analyse that and tell us, are we up or are we down, and by how much compared to the comparison lap. So I'll bring you back on the first flying lap. Here we go then. Let's see if we can beat Jim Sum's time. Target is a 51.04. Well, decent. So there we were 0.24 up in the first chicane. See if we can build on that through the second. Bit cautious there. Slightly quicker again. Slower through Lesmo 2, but we were a little bit quicker through Lesmo 1. Yeah, nearly 0.3 quicker there. Right, this should be quicker. Slightly quicker through there. Right, it's moved up now to Paul, comparing us against P20. So the braking markers and the references have changed. Corner analysis, 0.2 up on Paul. So we are currently P23 on the leaderboard now. Yeah, track limits invalidating that one. Yep, this one won't count. But you get the idea. He's good through Lesmo 1 and 2, is Paul. .15 up there. I find those beeps are really good for lifting and coasting. Just listening to the beeps, timing the lift just before the third one. So I think that was a 50.8. But you get the idea. Right. So I talked briefly about the indicator which tells you whereabouts on track you should be. Well, you can change it from how it is there with the green block to a different view. So this is the bar in the option deviation bar, but we can actually have a top-down map. And as you can see there, it gives you a better view of where the comparison lap is on the track compared to you. So we'll head out there on track. Now this would be more useful to find out exactly how much track somebody is taking, in my opinion. That's how I would use it. So I wouldn't try and follow that that accurately when I'm trying to put a decent lap in, but it would be really handy to run round on a slow lap just to see how wide they're actually going. So let's have a look. We'll see what their line is through turn number 1. So he's obviously right over to the left here. You can see how much is actually cut in there. So he's taken that much. And through this turn, he's right over here. So he's cutting those a lot. He's keeping nice and tight round here. And then running out wide on exit. He's obviously right over here, look. And then nice and tight, and then he just lets it run wide on exit. And then back over to the right. Again, he's right over on this curb. Look how wide he goes here, though. And he's right over there. Maybe not that wide. Yeah, maybe not that wide. But on here, so he's using quite a bit of curb. Using quite a bit of curb there. Maybe not that much again. Right up to that sausage curb there. And again, you can see he's right on here. So really handy to see where the pros are finding maybe a little bit of time that you can't find. And it's usually because they're using more of the track and their apex speeds are greater as a result. So he's nice and tight through the first part and then let it run out wide for a second apex. So again, nice and tight. Right on the AstroTurf by the look of it. Over the curb there. And then right on the AstroTurf again. Yeah, that's really, really handy to see where the esports drivers are finding the time. So that's a very brief overview of the Go Fast app. Now, it's not a tutorial. There's loads more on there that I haven't even talked about. You could spend literally hours delving into that information and studying what you're doing and potentially what you're doing wrong. And not to mention the setups. Those alone are worth the weight in gold. They're absolutely phenomenal. But if you think about how much it would cost you for overlays, for the setup shop, maybe a bit of coaching, for some telemetry analysis, you've got it all here in one piece of software for not that much money, relatively speaking. So I'll leave a link down below in the video description to the software where you can grab it, where you can sign up. If you use the code DaveCam10, you'll get 10% off. But as always, thank you for watching. Have a great week. See you later. Cheers.